Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today is going to be a good one. My name's Erik Hatch from Hatch Realty and Hatch Coaching. I'm having a hard time talking about my own business. We're located here in Fargo, North Dakota, and geez Louise, it has been a wild ride. This year, we're going to sell, God willing, over 1,000 houses as we finish up. Our coaching company has about 4x'd itself all in the last year. And I got a little tickle in my throat. So I guess that makes it for like a really great day. Folks, if you haven't met me before, or if you haven't tuned into any of our webinars, my goal is to bring a bunch of value. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. And instead, I just want to talk to you about the goodness that's going on in our world. And we want to help share as we've been smacked in the face with a few branches as we blaze some trails, and we've copied some really great people as well. And so with all that being said, we want to set you up for great success. Hatch Coaching exists, as you see right here, to redefine how people treat people. And ultimately, we want to treat people exceptionally well. Our team members, our clients, our family, our friends, and ourselves, these are all imperative that we put focus on this. And the topic of today's webinar is no different. We want to help you figure out how and when to make your first hire. Now, those of you that are watching live, I encourage you to ask some questions, put it in the chat box, and I would love to be able to answer your questions in real time. So this isn't just a presentation, but instead a conversation. Those of you watching the recording of this, put any question you have on YouTube, and we will be sure to answer that and help out in the best sort of way. Let's talk about when and how to make your first hire. I'll tell you this. I made my first hire about 10 years ago. I got into real estate full-time in 2011. And it was awesome. I had been a part-time realtor for about 5 years and had gained some momentum and some trajectory. And so I got in full-time, and I concentrated really hard on social media, worked my sphere exceptionally well, and I had developed, I think, a fairly good reputation for being a realtor. That first year, I ended up selling 52 houses in my first year, all from my past clients and sphere of influence. People I met at open houses and grinding and going, but it was halfway through that year where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm drowning. Like there's more responsibility than there are time minutes in the day. And I was struggling. That feeling of being on a struggle bus is a big one. And I think that I'm going to walk you through some steps of where you can tell where your business is. My partner, Robbie T, and I are in the process of writing a book. I've written one book before. It's called Play for the Person Next to You. Watch this shameless plug right here. I had to move my drinks. But I wrote this book 2 years ago, almost to the day. This is a servant leadership book. So this is the heart before the head. This is really talking about how to treat people. As we said right here, we're redefining how people treat people. And this is the first book I wrote. My partner, Robbie T, and I are writing a second book right now called The Perfect Real Estate Agent Blueprint. In fact, we think we're advancing the cause of what it takes to grow a really great real estate business. And frankly, some of you are going to be on one side of the coin or the other. Some of you will say, I want to stay small. I don't want to grow a team. I don't want to grow a large business. I just want to be a solo agent. On the other side, you may be drawn to saying, like, I want to grow something substantial because I want to be able to get out of production. And I don't care what side of the coin you're on. I will simply tell you this, that success will find you, right? If you're good at what you do, success breeds growth. And so if you intend on staying small, you'll eventually have to say no to some opportunities and some other at-bats. And that's okay if you do, if that's the life that you want. But for me, that's not the life that I want. I want to figure out how I can grow something really big and not complicated, but I want it to be simple. I want it to be impactful. I want it to make a big difference. And so know that when you're really good, success will find you. If you have not yet found that success and that kind of growth, it's either because you're new or you're not that good. Feels harsh when I say it, but it's the truth. Like growth will find you if you are really diligent about your lead generation and you're committed to following up with your clients and you're delivering a high level of service and you have a massive amount of competency. If you're great at all those things, growth will find you. And so back in 2011, when I was full-time, I was halfway through my year. I started in January. It was about May when I'm like, oh, I'm drowning. I have so much work to do. And my career previous to this is I spent about a decade in the ministry. So out of college, I did ministry for about a decade. And then I was a part-time realtor for half that time. And then I was at a graduation open house and I ran into one of my old youth group kids. Her name is Mariah. And we were, of course, eating taco in a bag or pulled pork because I think that's the only thing they serve at graduation open houses. And when I ran into Mariah, she was looking for summer work. I was looking for somebody to help me. And we agreed by the time we were done with our delicious pulled pork sandwiches that she was going to come and work for me for $9 an hour and 20 hours a week. Gang, I was scared to death to make that first hire. I was like, how in the world am I going to be able to afford, let me see, $9 an hour, 20 hours a week. That's $180 a week. Basically, that's almost $1,000 a month. How can I afford $1,000 a month? I was so scared and so intimidated that I wouldn't be able to take care of her financially. And so the first thing I want you to write down is, can you afford it? Question number one is, can you afford it? I think that a great business person, when you're looking to make your first hire, you should have at least 4 months of operating expenses saved and at least 4 months of your personal living expenses saved. The 4-4 dance, meaning my operating expenses would have been her salary at $1,000 a month. Maybe I should be paying myself a salary. And I'm going to go through some of those details with you here in a moment. But then you have your office, you have marketing expenses, all those other things. You need to make sure that you have at least 4 months in the bank, 4 months of cushion. Inversely, you also need to make sure that your personal life has 4 months of cash. So I'm talking your mortgage, your food, your credit card bills, your clothing, your car, your student loans, all those things that will haunt you and get you. You got to make sure that you have at least 4 months saved up of cash for that. If you don't, it's financially, I think, risky to bring somebody on. I'd love to tell you otherwise, but it is financially risky, and I want to make sure that you're set up for success. Also, we need to figure out, when are you ready to hire someone? And I'm going to walk through a series of slides here in just a moment that will hopefully give you some perspective. So here we go on a journey. And again, if you have questions and you're watching live, throw them my way. I am happy to help any way I can. So as we had said, we're writing a book called The Perfect Real Estate Agent Blueprint. This is called the Hatch Model. It is 10 tiers of growth and success. I want to make sure that as you're going and growing, that you're prioritizing your time accordingly. This is our pyramid of priorities. Screenshot this or capture this or jot this down quickly. But I will tell you that where the base of the pyramid is where the most of your time should go. The moment you bring on a team member, that team member has to come as more of a priority than your clients. Now, the things that matter the most are God, family, and self. But after that, the moment you hire somebody, you have to be prepared to give them more time and attention than you are to your clients. And that, for a lot of people, is a difficult challenge. So tier one and the 10 tiers of how to build the perfect real estate agent blueprint is a rainmaker agent. This is the agent. This is the person starting out. If you're on a team, this could be you as well. But if you're a solopreneur, this is certainly you. And I want to show you on tier one, you're the new kid on the block, right? You're doing 0 to 10 transactions a year. It's not a ton of deals, and you're trying to find your rhythm and your momentum. Everything is a little bit unpredictable. The team is just you. You're not paying yourself a salary, and you're focusing your time on production and building your vision and growing your database. Everything feels like it's urgent and important, and you're just trying to prioritize your time. Now, you're probably pretty broke at this point. Failure is close to inevitable because 86% of people fail in their first 2 years, and that's pretty scary. There's a lot of work and little results. So my goal for you here is not to spend your way to the top. And if you're doing 0 to 10 transactions a year, I don't think you should consider hiring someone. By the way, I'm going to stop for just a second. By the way, here are the first 5 hires you should make, because I know some of you are just wanting to get to the meat of it. And I'm not going to just hold on tight and give that to you at the end. I want to give it to you right now. Here are the first 5 hires you should make in this order. And our 10 tiers talk about this, but hire number 1 is an admin. Hire number 2 is an admin. And I'll break those down for you here, and you can see the difference of what they do and how it looks different. Hire number 3 is a showing partner. It's not a buyer agent. It's not somebody that you're throwing to the wolves. It's somebody who works directly with your business. Hire number 4 is an ISA, an inside sales agent. This person's helping to procure and to convert your purchased pieces of business. They are your database manager. They are your insurance policy for all that money that you're spending. And hire number 5 is another showing partner, because your first showing partner may be graduating up, or you're looking to now expand your team. And I will say this until I am blue in the face: you don't need to grow any farther than what I just said. In fact, most of you should not grow bigger than a 6-person team. It is financially irresponsible if you do. Now, if you're building something, or you've already built something that looks different than what I just articulated, again, admin, showing partner, ISA, showing partner. If you've built something different than that, you can still go back and recreate this. But I will challenge you on your budgetary model to say that financially, it is irresponsible of you to build anything other than this. Because that agent in production, you, assumedly, that's watching this, your dollars and your time are the most important dollars in time. We need to build all this leverage around you. The core foundation of building something great is with a micro team. And that's what I just voiced to you, is what a micro team looks like. This is fundamental and foundational. And for a lot of you, it's a total change of what you've built. And I'll give some voice as to why this matters as we continue to go through. But here in tier 1, when do you graduate from tier 1? Take a look at this graduation checklist on your screen. You're averaging 1 closing per month. You have a pipeline now where you're starting to feed your future business. You have some money saved up, but notice I didn't talk about the 4 months of personal and professional fees yet. You should really make sure that you're making good money. You're going to be paying yourself, and this is imperative, gang. I got to get off this screen because you need to see the whites of my eyeballs. This is imperative that you pay yourself in 3 ways. Number 1, you pay yourself a salary. I think when you're 10 transactions or less, you don't pay yourself a salary. As I go into future slides, you'll see, but you pay yourself a salary because you are the CEO of your business. It's imperative to do. Number 2 is you pay yourself the same commission split that any agents on your team make. So if you're saying a 40-60 split or a 50-50 split, you literally take out of the company account your own personal production money. If it's a $10,000 commission, $4,000 gets paid to you in your personal account, and the $6,000 stays in the company account, because the third way you pay yourself is as an owner of the company. And each of you should be thinking as an owner of the company. So bucket number 1 you pay yourself in is a salary. Bucket number 2, you pay yourself a commission as an agent. And bucket number 3, you pay yourself a CEO pay, or excuse me, you pay yourself owner pay. All the stuff that's left over. And when you do that, you'll be able to look and say like, holy cow, okay, I'm making some serious money here. But we can't make active decisions until we know that that full owner account, that team is making money, and making money in the right sort of way. So as we go through here, you have your expected salary, you have your salary, production, and profit. There's always 3 ways you're going to get paid. No salary on this. Earn 30 to 45% from your personal transactions, and you want your business to profit at least 25%. That means you can't go and overspend for business and leads. You choose your profit margin, but the things I teach on is you should look for a 25% profit. Otherwise, you're either paying too much for your expenses, or you're paying too much for your marketing, or you're paying too much for your salaries. But take a look. These are the 10 responsibilities that you have in tier 1. And the goal is we need to help you to breathe. This is a lot of stuff. Screenshot this, pull up your camera, take a picture of this. I'm going to show this slide a couple other times, but I'm not going to have you slow down or write down all of this right now. Seriously, take out your phone, or do the old print screen, capture this down, because these are the 10 pieces of business that we will start to leverage off as we go. Okay, tier 2. Tier 2 is still just a solo agent. Not just a solo agent. Tier 2 is an agent that's making some moves. Look at the production numbers, 11 to 36 transactions. It's at this point here, when you're averaging 2 to 3 deals a month, that you should start thinking, I should be hiring an administrator. I'm drowning in responsibilities of transaction coordinating and listing coordinating and runner responsibilities. And I can't even find time to bring my dog to the vets. Like, these are all the things that you should be getting off your plate. And so As you're starting to deal with these pain points, your day stretched thin, you're wearing many hats, details are bogging you down, you're working a ton of hours, you can't catch a breath. All these things start to mount in tier 2. But what you have now is you have a business that's predictable. The average commission of the United States right now, I think, is about $8,500. And so if you're doing 30 deals a year with $8,500 in commission, you're talking over $250,000 is what you're making. And let me say this, you're probably going right now and asking yourself, can I afford to make a hire? Can I financially afford to do that? And how will I know what the rate of return is for making a hire? I think an admin should get you a 3-to-1 return on your investment. 3-to-1, meaning this person should be able to help you make, if their pay is $40,000 a year as an example, it should help you to make at least $120,000 that year. With an average commission of $8,500, that's 15 transactions. That's in fact more like 14 transactions. So an admin should be able to help you do at least 14 more transactions, right? If that's the case, now you're talking like, whoa, there's big financial, and I want to make sure I'm saying that math right. Let's take 120,000 divided by 8,500. Is that 14 transactions? Yep. Okay. If this admin can help you do 14 more transactions, they pay for themselves. And so think of those things that can come off your plate, because right now we have all these pain points. Now's the time to say, I think I'm ready to start making a hire. The new tool that you'd want to use is WiseHire right here. I'll send you a link to WiseHire. It is essentially, it's a hiring platform, and you can get all of our Hatch ads, all of our written copy for who you're looking for, and we can help you with that hiring process. And WiseHire is like a CRM for hiring. And it's really nice because you can turn it on and turn it off. But here is the first time in tier 2 that you are now paying yourself a salary, $5,000 to $15,000. It's not a ton of money, but you're operating on the business for the first time instead of just in the business. You need to be doing everything that you see here on the screen. Please screenshot this out, and we'll send out the slides as well, so that you can have this. If you're watching live, just pause YouTube. It's that easy. Or excuse me, if you're watching the recording, just pause YouTube. But take a look. In tier 2, you're an agent that has good momentum and predictable business now, and you know you need to make a hire, but all the jobs are still yours, right? This is still your responsibility until we get to tier 3. And this is when you hire your first admin. Remember, I said your first admin hire and your second admin hire are both admin. These are salaries, and these are scary hires to make, because in your mind, you might be saying to yourself, Erik, I can't be financially responsible for somebody's life and somebody's business. And I will tell you, the only way to maximize your profit and to have leverage in your world and keep you producing at a really high level is when you financially invest in salaries. I remember I was at a Keller Williams event years ago. I used to be a Keller Williams agent, and I have mad love for KW and Gary Keller. And Gary was asked from the main stage something like, Gary, if I have an extra $30,000 to $40,000 a year to spend to invest into my business, what lead source should I invest it into? And Gary said, you should invest into a who. See, we oftentimes look for the what or the how. There's a great book called Who, Not How. I think investing in people is your golden ticket to success. When you have a predictable enough business where you're doing 24 to 36 deals a year, when you have enough cash in the bank with 4 months of reserves, when you have set yourself up for a business that is starting to produce a lot of cash, it is financially irresponsible of you to try to do everything yourself. See, bringing on the first admin, this is an admin that takes things off your plate. This is your breath of fresh air. This admin removes all the minutia killing things from your world. If you think about it, this admin is doing all the jobs that basically slow you down and make you crazy. They're helping on some massive, massive ways. And I want to show you those details here, okay? So take a look. I'm dropping balls and I need an admin. So this is when you hire an admin, is in tier 3. Your production will grow and should grow to 20 to 55 transactions. Now, if you're out in California where your average sales price is $1.2 million, you're going to be at the 20 transaction count. If you're in Fargo, North Dakota, where your average sales price is $280,000, you're going to be more at the 40 to 55 transaction count. But let's take a look at these steps. First thing is you have a CEO salary and you're paying yourself more. You're focusing your time on the leadership of your admin. Remember, go back to that pyramid we had in the very beginning that lays that out. You're developing a vision and you're, of course, the lead producer still, but now this admin is taking stuff off your plate. It takes an inordinate amount of time to actually train somebody up to be a really great admin. And so you're going to have to put that kind of time into it. It is irresponsible if you skip one of these steps, because there's 3 steps in training somebody, 3 very simple steps. Please write this down. It is watch me, step number 1. Step number 2 is watch you. And step number 3 is go and do. See, if I hire an admin, let's say her name is Denise. I see Denise is watching right now. Hi, Denise. If I hire Denise to be my admin and she comes along and she shadows me for a few days, she watches how I put a listing on the MLS and she sees how I'm talking to clients on the phone and she sees how I throw together a file and send it off to the title company. She sees all those things. What I tend to say to her is, all right, Denise, did you catch that? She's like, yeah, I caught that. And then so she does the watch me portion. She shadows me, but then I just throw her to it. And I'm like, hey, you got this now. Good luck. And we wonder why our admins stink at their jobs sometimes, because we fail to set them up right. We fail to do the things that really matter in the right sort of way. My kids are 6 and 5 right now, but let's say Corbin, who's watching right now, is my son, and Corbin's 15, and he just got his driver's permit. Corbin, for 15 years, has watched me drive my car, watched all the nuances, and even I told him, hey, you're going to get your permit soon. I want you to watch closely. So Corbin's watching me closely. You think that after he watched me drive for 15 years that he's prepared to be a driver? Or does it only work when we do step number 2 and I sit in the passenger seat and the driver's ed teacher sits in the passenger seat and we make sure that dude doesn't crash? See, the most important part of a kid becoming a driver is driver's training. And they practice over and over again and they get coached and they get adjusted. And that's exactly what it's like when you make a hire. Is you can't just assume that them shadowing you or them watching you do it is actually going to make them a better driver or a better worker. Instead, it's very different than that. It takes some massive intentionality and steps of them watching you and then you watching them, coaching, adjusting, and holding them accountable for what it is that they say they want. When you do that, my gang, you're going to find that that person is going to be far more successful. I promise you that. So your time, where it says, where should you focus your time, is in leadership of your admin and development of them. It is so important. And you need to be getting ready for your second admin, because the first hire you make is a really important one. Over the top, this is the person that's going to help you breathe, help you grow, help you do some really, really big things. You need to make sure that you aren't bankrupting yourself. This person should help you sell at minimum, I think, 15 more houses a year. 15 more houses, and that's it. Okay, somebody raised their hand. Did you have a question here? I want to be able to help out in the best sort of way. Let me see. There's a hand raised here. I just want to make sure I attend to it. If you have a question, go ahead and type it into the chat box if you can, please. Let's jump forward here because I want to keep going on this, because now we've actually relieved ourselves of some responsibilities. Let's take a look at what that is. It's not everything that's off your plate. This first admin is not relieving and making your whole life easier. Number 4, the reason why relationship management is as such is because they're coming in and they're tending to the weekly and daily care of your buyers and sellers. They're an extension of you. This is the nurse to you being a doctor. This relationship management, you're able to help navigate and have another point person. So you aren't always dealing with the urgent, and rather you're dealing with the important. It's a very important delineage there. And of course, the paperwork and details. Most salespeople are high I's or high D's, and that does not correlate with them being really great with paperwork and details. And so this stuff can be massively minutia killing right here. When you make your first hire, their job should be to take things off your plate. I want to make sure that I'm very, very clear on that. Now, when you make your second hire, it is actually another admin that you hire. You're the rainmaker and you have the first admin that helps you breathe. They take all the things off your plate. The second admin helps you to grow. First one removes things, second one activates things. Both are essential. When I hired Mariah, who I shared with you was my first hire ever, I just gave her new jobs to work on. I had my dream list, my honey-do list that I didn't have time to get to. I had some marketing things I wanted to do. I had some past client things I wanted to do, and I activated her to build all those. Now, I trained her really poorly. She didn't understand how I thought. I didn't vet her exceedingly well, and I'm going to cover that here in just a moment after we get through this next admin hire. I didn't vet her exceedingly well, and I just kind of threw her to the wolves, and she actually created more work for me. Because I got my admin hires mixed up in the wrong order, she created more work for me. And so be very, very cautious that your first admin hire needs to help you breathe before the second one helps you to grow. Take a look now. You're responsible for 2 salaries. Let's say that's $80,000. That's a lot of salaries, but realistically, I think you're going to be selling an extra 30 to 40 homes with 2 admin, maybe even more than that. And that will more than 3 to 1 give that'll give you more than a 3 to 1 return on your investment. That is crazy cash, y'all. To get a 3 to 1 return on your investment, do you know how many people would sign up for that kind of odds? And yet that's what this person does. Huge, huge, huge opportunity. This person is now leveraging you along with the other admin, and your life is getting some of this stuff off your plate. We're getting focused here. We're getting really dialed in. And take a look. Now, when you have the second admin hired, you're breathing. Now, I can tell you how, or excuse me, I can tell you who to hire, the kind of person to hire, but I want to help you know and understand how you're going to find this person. So I have a 9-step hiring process. This is the last thing I'm going to cover here. We have a 9-step hiring process that is bulletproof. You should really check out, we have something called Hatch Training, and we have a program called Hire Like Hatch, where we're going to walk you through the 9 steps. And if you're going to start hiring somebody, you need to take your hiring process really seriously. See, when I hired Mariah, I had a previous relationship with her, but I didn't know her skills. I didn't know her weaknesses. I didn't know her strengths. I didn't know what kind of team member she would be. I got committed to marriage after a first date. Sometimes we read a resume that can be filled with bogus stuff, and you go through it, and then you talk to somebody for 30 minutes, and you're like, oh, yeah, they sound pretty good, and then you let them into your world, and you give them the keys to the kingdom. There's 3 things that you can do in order to have an unbelievable business. 3 things. It's simple. It's not easy. Number 1 is get great talent. Get great talent. Number 2 is train great talent. And number 3 is keep great talent. Now, there's far too many iterations on those pieces for you to dive into, but I want you to know that the most important thing that you can do above anything else is actually not selling houses. It's getting great talent. That's the most important thing that you're going to do if you want to grow a great real estate business. Now, if you want to stay small, again, remember, I think staying small is a choice, but if you're really good, growth will find you, and you're going to need to eventually make a hire. And if you haven't taken the steps to hire right, you're going to hire wrong. Most people I know, like myself, we hired wrong in the beginning, and it is just a big old hole that you have to climb yourself out of. Some of my hardest things I've ever had to do is deal with bad hires. And whose fault is it? This guy. So this 9-step process, step number 1 is place a great ad. So we use WiseHire, WIZEHIRE. WiseHire is a really great platform for us to place ads. We get disc profiles back on the people. They can submit cover letters. It ranks them for us based on competencies if the disc fits the natural role of what we're looking for. And by the way, an admin is usually an SC or a CS on a disc profile. That's who you're traditionally looking for. And so WiseHire is a really great spot for us to place this ad. Step number 2 is we research these people, right? We find out, you look on social media to see what common friends you have. You see and make sure that the person isn't a super crazy, aggressive, political person or someone who is really out of culture with what it is that you want to represent your business. Because what people put on social media is certainly a reflection of who they are in life. And quite often, I've really liked somebody's resume until I've looked at their social media profile and I thought, ugh, I don't want to be around this person. No way, no how. I care more about the culture of a person than I do the skill of a person. And a resume shows the skill, but the social media profiles, they show the culture, don't they? You can also fake it pretty well too, which is why the other 7 steps are super important. But step 1, place a great ad and write a great ad. Step number 2 is research your candidates. I recommend leaving a job open for no more than 3 or 4 weeks. And after you research those candidates, you're going to whittle them down and then you're going to choose who you want to invite to a career night. Step number 3 is career night. This is an iteration of hiring that most people don't do. It was about 4 years ago, almost to the day, that I went on the hunt to find a personal assistant in my life. The first time I was going to get some massive, massive leverage. She was going to cook meals for me and my family. She was going to help with all of my calendar things. She was an extension of everything I did. And she was intertwined with every credit card I had and every traveling arrangement I needed to make. She just took care of everything. I didn't know how many people would apply for this, but I had 307 people apply. And know that every step in this is to eliminate people in the process. And step number 3 is like, shoot, what are we going to do? And so we whittled our 307 people down to about 60 folks. And we invited 60 folks to our career night. It was it's usually at like 5:30 on a Monday or a Tuesday. And we give them 3 or 4 email notifications before career night actually happens to let them know, like, hey, you should come to this so you can learn about the position and we can learn about you. So sure enough, it happened. And the career night, we had 45 people RSVP. So we invited 60. We had like 45 people RSVP and like 35 people actually showed up. See, we've already whittled down from 307 down to 35 like that. And as these men and women made their way into my office, within 5 minutes, I had my favorite 5 or 6. Within 5 minutes. See, when you see the whites of somebody's eyeballs, when you see the energy that they bring, when you get a feel for how they conduct themselves, when you sense their body language, when you can see, can I vibe with this person or can I not? Like, that's a natural instinct, isn't it? And yet most of us spend far too much time staring at a resume trying to figure out, like, is this person going to be a good fit? Like, get in person with them. Right now, putting a career night is getting the hand raisers and those willing to go the extra mile. It's getting them to actually show up. As I record this, there's lots of issues with unemployment and people who are applying for jobs but not actually wanting to get the job. And I want to whittle out all those people instead of trying to chase this imaginary dragon of whatever it may be for hiring them. And so it's imperative that you do this career night so you can get a sense for who they are and that you can find out if they're actually willing to go above and beyond. I think people come to us in one of 3 ways. It's one of 3 R's. The first is they come to us because of a relationship. They love who we are. We're friends with them outside of it. Maybe we were referred by somebody else, but the first is relationship. The second R is reputation, that people know who you are. They've got a sense of your community engagement or how you treat people, and they're drawn to that. The third R is real estate. People come because they just love houses and they want to be in that kind of environment. They love watching HGTV. And it is really hard to get one of those hires to turn into something that is a really solid hire. So heed caution on people that are drawn to you because you're in real estate, but I think you'll have a better chance of getting somebody who's drawn to you because of the relationship you have or the reputation that you have. In this career night, you spend 60 or so minutes talking about how hard the job is, about what the job requires, giving them a lay of the land of what life is like in real estate, and you are trying to talk them out of wanting to work with you. Believe you me, when you can talk about how hard it is, those that are the right talent and those that are willing to come in and to clean up your mess, those are the ones that you're going to win over, and you'll be able to find those people. Folks who are coming looking in for easy and you tell them it's going to be hard, like they're going to choose to self-select out. And that's what you want. You don't want somebody who shows up expecting it to be rainbows and butterflies, because I know your business is, y'all, and I know that it's messy and it's gross, and you got to stop trying to talk about how great it is and instead talk about how hard it is. So that's step number 3. Step number 4 is anybody who was invited to career night, whether they attended or not, gets the opportunity to answer some essay questions. We'll send out essay questions on like a Tuesday, and we'll tell them that they have till Sunday night to respond to them. We give them like a 5-day period. These essay questions are a chance for us to get to know them. Oh, by the way, at career night, after you present, then you're in one-on-one conversations in small groups. You should have some friends or some vendors or your spouse or other people there to help you filter through the group. But then you're having conversations afterwards. You end it after 90 minutes. Don't go any longer than that. Step number 4 on the essay questions, we ask 5 or 6 questions, not about like, tell me a time in which you were managed exceedingly well. We don't ask typical interview questions. We say like, what's something that really matters in your life? And tell us about it. We'll ask a question like, who's the most important person in your life and why? What's a dream that you have? What makes you feel fulfilled? Like, we're going to ask these kind of questions so we can understand both their written skills and to get a better grasp of their personality. You can also ask them to do it and respond in video form. That can be a pretty great, easy way to change up the rhythm of some things. Step number 5, remember, each one of these is a filter. Step number 5 after the essay questions is you should be doing a 20 to 30 minute phone or in-person interview. This is to inspect what you've expected. This is to ask further in-depth questions. This is not this is not the final interview. This is in fact the first official interview. And you're getting a feel, making sure that, yeah, this person is who I believe them to be. And it's now one-on-one for the first time ever. Those essay questions are good, but getting somebody in person one-on-one is really going to set you up for success. Step number 6, and this is where most of you are going to skip and screw up. So please do not skip and do not screw up step number 6. Step number 6 is reference checks. Remember, I told you I'm a former Keller Williams agent, and Keller Williams in their Recruit Select class, now called Career Visioning, they recommend you get 3 referrals. And those 3 referrals, you're going to ask a series of questions for 10 or 20 minutes, and you're going to take great notes. And then you're going to ask each of those 3 referrals, hey, who's somebody that knows Ben that I can talk to? And so you want to get a referral from all 3 of these people so you can ask the same questions. See, because this person is their best friend, and this person is their aunts, and they're not telling you. And this person is somebody that never worked with them, but they're like, hey, I'm going to put you down as a reference. Well, now as you get 3 more references when possible, you're going to start getting a little more close to the truth. And then you're going to ask these 3 references for 3 references. And you're going to, in total, get 9 references when possible in the hiring process. And if you're saying to me right now, Eric, that takes so much time, that takes so much energy, what happens if you get the wrong person on your team? And they disrupt everything. They ruin the culture. They take away from all the good work that you've been doing. And you've spent so much time hiring and training them, and to look back and be like, well, that person sucked. Why didn't I know that they suck? Well, because you didn't do your homework to find out that they suck. It is so important that you do reference checks. It is in the hiring process. I think the most important thing is you're going to find out what other people say. And it's not for you to be like, well, one person didn't like you, so you're done. And in fact, now tease you up for step number 7. And step number 7 is the long form interview. This long form interview, I think, lasts up to 3 hours. This is your life story time. The first half of the interview, I would sit down with somebody like Cassandra. And I would say to you, Cassandra, my goal over the next 90 minutes or so is I want to find out everything I can about you. I'm going to ask for your life story. I want you to start at birth until today. And I want you to talk about the high highs and the low lows. This is not a time for meekness, not a time for you to hide anything. And I want to see when life has put you up on a pedestal, and then when it's chewed you up and spit you out. Like, I want to know the high highs and the low lows. Now, I can't ask her questions about her family, and I can't ask her questions about things, but I can say, like, who's really important in your life, right? Like, there's ways in which you can ask some great questions, and to that person's comfort level, they'll disclose some things. And this first 90 minutes is the best part of all of this, because you're finding out and you're interjecting question after question after question. So Cassandra would say, I grew up in a small town in Iowa. I'd be like, awesome. What was that like? Well, I had my best friend, and she and I would ride bike together all the time. Tell me about your relationship with your best friend now, right? Like, you're just going to keep asking questions and questions and questions, because your goal is to get this person off of a script. The goal is to get them off of a routinized answer. See, we all have answers that are practiced and rehearsed, unintentionally so, but things that we've answered 100 times. And your goal, if you want to find out the kind of person that Cassandra is, you better try to get her off script and ask a lot of questions and interrupt a ton. And so after that 90-minute time, you take a break. And you, by the way, you shouldn't be in this interview alone. You should have somebody else with you, either another team member or somebody from your office or your spouse, whatever it may be. The second half of it, you take like a 15-minute break. The second half of the interview is about 60 to 75 minutes. And this is for the first time in the second half of step number 7, when you're actually asking interview questions. What's your favorite way of being managed? And what kind of relationship do you tend to have with your coworkers? And where are some of your greatest skills? Like, it's at this point now where you're inspecting who they are at work. But I really, really like the idea of you spending all the time beforehand figuring out the kind of culture that they have and the person that they are. Are they a victim or are they a victor? And in this, what you're looking for is you're looking for somebody to not be a victim. I don't have any space, place, or time for victims. Somebody who whines or complains, thinks that their crap doesn't stink. That just doesn't work in my world. Now, when that finishes, step number 8 is an off-site dinner, happy hour, lunch, coffee, whatever it may be. It's an off-site gathering with that person's spouse, as well as the department that they're coming into. So if you're hiring your second admin, your first admin better be out for dinner with their spouse, you're out with your spouse, and then you're inviting, in this example, Cassandra and her spouse to come. Because frankly, that spouse has to take the job too. And they need to hear in full of all the things that are worrisome. With admin, I don't worry so much, but you take an ISA, you take an agent, and they subscribe to this really aggressive, tough, exhausting life of real estate. And it's a lifestyle. It's not a job. It's not even a career. It's a lifestyle. That spouse better know what they're getting themselves into. And so this is a time to inspect who they are outside of work. It's why you get off location. It's why you change it up. And it's why you bring the spouses there. Final step is offering the job. This is a lot to do to make one hire. But if you said to me, Eric, what's the one thing that you do better than most? And why have you found success? Why are you going to sell over 1,000 homes this year in Fargo, North Dakota? What is it that you've done? What's the secret to your success? And it's really easy. I got great people. And then I train great people, and now I keep great people. But the first thing I have to do is I have to get great people. And your business might be at a place right now where you're looking to say, I need to make a hire, or maybe you hired a bunch of agents and you don't have that admin yet, whatever it may be. This is, I think, the key that's going to unlock some huge things for you. And so if this has tickled your fancy, if it's something that you're drawn to, we have in our Hatch training bundle, these are our video training modules. I have an entire series called How to Build a Real Estate Team. And I will make sure to send you a link with a discount code for that so that you can save some quick cash. But that's it. I'm gonna email you all some stuff if you're watching live, or if you signed up. If you are watching the recording of it, we're gonna go ahead and hopefully put some links here in the YouTube description. So I'm gonna stop recording, but I'll stick around for any questions that y'all have. I'll help in any sort of way before I have my next thing. So gang, thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate you.